The house stood alone, a mansion of crumbling stone and shadowed glass. Locals called it the painter's folly. They whispered of a renowned artist driven mad within those walls. His tortured masterpieces, they said, still held fragments of his tormented soul. Built in the 1800s, the house had seen empires rise and fall. Each resident met an untimely end. Suicides, strange accidents, disappearances, the stories clung to the house like cobwebs, each more gruesome than the last. It was a place where darkness lingered. Vikram, a boy of 12 with eyes full of adventure, loved a good mystery. New to Bengaluru, he was instantly drawn to the stories surrounding the painter's folly. He'd spent hours watching it from afar, its crooked silhouette against the setting sun sparking his imagination. One humid afternoon, curiosity got the better of him. He felt a pull towards the house, an urge to uncover its secrets. Ignoring the warnings whispered by the city, Vikram decided to explore the abandoned mansion. He would face the darkness himself. The air grew heavy, thick with an almost tangible sense of foreboding. As Vikram stepped onto the overgrown lawn, the grass brushing against his legs like ghostly fingers, the iron gate creaked open with a groan, its rusty hinges protesting against the intrusion. Inside, dust-covered furniture stood frozen in time, relics of a forgotten past. Cobwebs draped the chandeliers like ghostly shrouds, adding to the eerie atmosphere. A chill ran down Vikram's spine, the cold seeping into his bones. He felt a presence, unseen but watching, a pair of eyes in the darkness. As Vikram ventured deeper, he heard whispers, soft and indistinct, like the murmurs of the dead. Soft murmurs that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. The temperature plummeted, the air turning icy. Shadows danced at the edge of his vision, taking on grotesque shapes that seemed to mock his fear. Fear gnawed at him, but he pressed on, his heart pounding in his chest like a drumbeat of courage. Section 4. The Attic's Grip. Vikram reached a narrow staircase leading to the attic. The wooden steps creaked under his weight, each sound amplifying the eerie silence that enveloped the house. He hesitated, a sense of dread washing over him. The air grew colder and a shiver ran down his spine as he stood at the bottom of the staircase. The whispers grew louder, urging him forward. They seemed to come from the very walls, echoing in the dark corners of the house. He climbed, each step echoing in the oppressive silence of the house. The darkness seemed to close in around him, making it hard to breathe. The attic door creaked open, revealing a dusty room. The air was thick with the scent of old wood and forgotten memories. An easel stood in the center, illuminated by a faint ray of sunlight. Dust particles danced in the beam, giving the room an ethereal glow. On it rested a half-finished portrait of a man. The brushstrokes were delicate, yet the image was hauntingly vivid. His eyes, wide with a horrifying realization, seemed to follow Vikram's every move. They bore into his soul, filling him with an inexplicable fear. He felt a cold hand on his shoulder, a whisper of despair in his ear. Panic surged through him. The room seemed to close in, the walls whispering secrets of the past. He knew he had to leave, but his feet felt rooted to the spot. Section 5. The Painter's Madness. Vikram spun around, his heart pounding against his ribs. The silence was deafening, broken only by the sound of his own rapid breathing. He felt a cold sweat trickle down his back as he strained to hear any sign of movement. There was no one there. The shadows seemed to mock him, dancing just out of reach. He could almost hear the whispers of the past, the echoes of the painter's tortured soul. But the air hung thick with the artist's final moments. It was as if the very walls had absorbed his agony, his despair seeping into the fabric of the house. The portrait, he realized, was not just a painting. It was alive, pulsating with a malevolent energy. The eyes seemed to follow him, filled with a madness that threatened to consume him. It was a window into the painter's descent into madness, a terrifying record of the house's evil. Each brushstroke told a story of torment, of a mind unraveling. The house had fed on his terror, his despair its lifeblood. It thrived on the fear it instilled, growing stronger with each soul it ensnared. Vikram knew then the truth. The house was not just haunted, it was a living entity, a predator that lured its victims with promises of inspiration and trapped them in a web of horror. It wasn't just a haunted house, it was a malevolent force, a dark presence that thrived on the suffering of those it ensnared. It was a predator, trapping souls within its walls, each room a prison, each corridor a labyrinth of despair. He fled, the screams of the painter echoing in his ears, a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurked within the painter's folly. The house seemed to laugh at his terror, its walls closing in as he ran, desperate to escape its grasp.